What if I told you that one of history's most important family trees includes prostitutes, foreigners, and scandalous affairs? The genealogy of Jesus challenges everything we think we know about religious pedigrees.
Well, that's fascinating. Most people would expect a divine lineage to be filled with perfect, morally upright characters. But this one seems to embrace the complexity of human nature.
Let's start with Tamar. Her story is like something out of a dramatic movie. After losing her husband, she was promised to his younger brother according to ancient law. When that promise wasn't kept, she took matters into her own hands.
Oh, right. She actually disguised herself as a prostitute to trick her father in law, Judah. Pretty shocking stuff for religious texts.
And here's what's really interesting. She kept his personal items as evidence. When he later tried to condemn her, she produced these items, forcing him to acknowledge his own failures. It was like ancient DNA evidence.
You know what fascinates me about these stories? How they keep subverting expectations. Like Rahab, an actual prostitute who becomes a hero by helping Hebrew spies escape Jericho.
Exactly. And then there's Ruth, who comes from the Moabites, a people who originated from a pretty scandalous situation involving Lot and his daughters. Yet she becomes the great-grandmother of King David.
Well, that's quite the family history. And speaking of David, let's talk about Bathsheba, though Matthew only refers to her as the wife of Uriah.
Right, that whole episode represents David's darkest moment, adultery, murder to cover it up. Yet somehow God still works through this situation. Their son Solomon becomes one of Israel's greatest kings.
So, what do you make of the fact that these complicated stories lead right up to Mary, a young girl from Nazareth, a town so insignificant it isn't even mentioned in the Old Testament?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Unlike other ancient myths about divine beings and humans, this virgin birth serves a specific theological purpose, establishing Jesus as both fully human and fully divine.
And the social implications must have been enormous. Under Jewish law, Mary could have faced death by stoning.
You know what's remarkable? Joseph's response. Before any divine intervention, his first instinct was to handle things quietly to protect Mary's reputation. That shows incredible character.
And both of them showed such courage. Mary asks practical questions, but ultimately says, I am the Lord's servant, knowing she could face serious consequences.
And here's something most people miss. The names given to Jesus carry deep significance. Jesus means the Lord saves, and Emmanuel means God with us. These names essentially summarize his entire mission.
That's quite intentional, like a mission statement built right into his identity.
Looking at the bigger picture, this genealogy is basically saying, hey, God's work in the world isn't limited by human expectations or social boundaries. It's almost revolutionary when you think about it.
Well, that certainly challenges our modern tendency to want everything neat and sanitized, doesn't it?
Absolutely fascinating how these ancient stories still resonate today. They remind us that transformation often comes through unexpected people and messy situations. That's what makes these accounts so powerful. They're deeply, authentically human.
And perhaps that's the whole point, showing that divine purposes can work through very human circumstances.
You know, in the end, this genealogy isn't just a historical record. It's a declaration that no one is too far gone, too foreign, or too scandalous to be part of something meaningful. That's a pretty powerful message for any era.